It's okay, Tammy. It's okay.
I'll switch back to Tammy as the.
No, you can't make me.
I can see, everyone can see the top of their screen that we're live on YouTube.
Right.
You see that and recording?
Yes.
Okay, so in case
I'll
anyone's
enjoy your
just,
meeting.
thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
So just to recap, we chatted a bunch. We started the meeting at 7:08, at which time we discussed the April minutes. They were approved with 2 changes. That recording will also get posted, so if anyone wants to see that again, they can. But the changes were to note that it was a teleconference and to note the applicant specifically using the moniker Crescent Way. And now we are talking about the May 28th minutes, and I think, does anyone have any other changes or any changes to them? That was all I had, to make sure John was okay with a shout out, and he is. So is there a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes for May 28th, 2020?
So move.
And a second? Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Great. Minutes are approved. And then the next order of business is what came before us, and I apologize if it was a little bit confusing. So we're going to talk now about this generic idea of any building application that comes before the zoning officer to see it, and if it's in a wetland or potential wetland district, or the applicant just simply wants to know if it's in a wetland district, they can submit this formal request to the DEC, which I emailed to all of you. It's just this blank form that says, hey, DEC, I'm doing this brief building project at this parcel. Would you come and look at it and see if it's a wetland? And so what Tom is wondering, if we are okay with, if that comes back as, no, it's not a wetland, is that sufficient? If the DEC comes out, inspects the property and says not a wetland, is that sufficient for him as he checks off all those boxes that he must do to say, oh, right, we have this map. It says it's in a wetland. We now have to go into site plan review. Oh, but it's not actually, because the maps get updated all the time. They sort of keep changing, which is why having someone maybe come out and check if you were in a once wetland or not a wetland, but it sure is wet now, to have them check. If the determination from the DEC is it's not a wetland, does that suffice?
My own take on it is that the zoning bylaw as it's written is pretty weak in that regard. And I would prefer to have the DEC's feedback myself. For example, as Tom noted in the things that he has sent, you could have a 20-acre plot of land, and if 6 feet of a corner are in what somebody has determined as a wetland, the whole 20 acres is considered a wetland, which doesn't make a lot of sense. The other thing is that I have no idea how the zoning bylaw wetland identification was made. It would be nice if there was some whereases or some definition of how that determination was made, that it's wet.
Like where the village had identified existing wetlands, or?
Well, how did, for example, in the DEC, they say that they use plant identification, they use observation, they use a couple of other things, and that's how they determine the wetland boundaries. And then they draw the boundaries of the wetland. They don't automatically do it by property lines. I used to do that actually when I was living in Massachusetts, and it's remarkable how precise you can be just by plant identification. So I guess all I'm saying is that I like what Tom is suggesting.
Yeah, so I think that, and for Michelle, and for review for Hannah, that what we do right now is anytime there's a building permit, the zoning officer has to go and look at that parcel and check it against a current DEC map of a wetland and see if it's there. But those do sort of seem to move around a little bit depending on how updated it was. And so presumably, John, he's checking local record or DEC record for properties. So the planning board doesn't have to decide if it's a wetland exactly. We're checking all these resources. And I like this notion of encouraging. So I'm wondering if we could even make it sort of a strong encouragement to get people to get the DEC to come and check. I don't know how, like, oh, you are definitely in like these zones. You're in a riparian buffer. You are in X, you have been previously designated as a wetland or a very wet area. Here's a simple application. You can apply for the DEC to come and look at your property. And then we can go from there. Because if it's not, then you don't have to go through this big.
Yeah, and frankly, people have to have a survey done of their property in order to get through the gates. Adding, if there is some question that it might be in a wetland, it makes sense that you have a professional evaluation of that.
Yeah. Hannah, Michelle, you
Does
guys have
it-
some thoughts?
Does it cost anything to have the DEC come out?
Do you know what? I don't know. It certainly doesn't cost to the village. Did it say at the
Yeah,
bottom of
I'm
that
thinking-
It
application?
doesn't say it on the form. It doesn't say anything about cost on the form, but I don't know if it would.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering like how high of a hurdle that is for an applicant, like if it,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just wondering what hurdles there might be.
So it's not, and I don't think Tom is suggesting it be required. It's not like
Okay.
every application has to do it, but they could, and it could shortcut time for them to be like, right, DEC came out, they're experts. It's not a wetland. We're good to go.
Fair enough.
There is a question insofar as, this map that Tom, I think he got this from the DEC. So the DEC has done a map. The question is whether there needs to be a on-site confirmation of that map, or whether you can just rely on the map that they have on file.
How current is that map? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Tom was here.
Yeah.
I'll text him and see if I can find out for you.
The wetland delineation that we have for the village currently, do we know how old that is?
Mm.
It's fairly recent, I think, because Prospect Street, which is all in wetlands, is all developed, as you know.
Yeah,
And that was done by Austic within the last maybe 30 years, 20 years. And he wouldn't have been able to do that, I don't think, if the wetland.
yeah, how could it, well, I guess that's a question too, like, how did all those houses get built if we're having a discussion about a garage being built? Like, if they're,
Well, they were built before it was classified as wetlands, as far as I.
Oh.
Okay.
So we're also, to be clear for anyone who might be watching or listening to this recording, we are not discussing a specific application at this time.
Okay.
We're not discussing Prospect Street. It's not before the board. It's not a consideration. We're talking about this general concept.
But I was just addressing the fact that I don't know what the date is for the production of that wetland overlay. But my suspicion is that it's been within the last 20 or 30 years.
did the,
I think
Did that-
Tom may have just dug that out this week, or last week when he sent it to you guys. I think he printed it right off the DEC then.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping he'll respond to me and we can figure that out.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my computer failed for about 4 minutes. What do you need from Tom?
I was just gonna ask him, if he knew what the date was on that map. John had asked how old he thought it was,
Oh,
and I was
okay.
gonna ask.
But again, for us, I think that's actually this is a pretty simple question as far as I'm concerned. We're not talking about any specific area. It's really this notion of if someone, an applicant, chooses to ask the DEC to come and do a survey and determination of their land, will we accept that? Can the zoning officer accept that determination and move forward? Or does the zoning officer need to come before the board? If the DEC says not a wetland, can the zoning officer move forward?
I would feel comfortable with that.
Hmm.
I would.
Sure, me too.
Okay, and then so let's report back to Tom and say, and I'll report back to Tom and say, yeah, if someone applies for this determination and the DEC says not a wetland, great. If you as a zoning officer kind of feel strange about that determination, by all means feel empowered to communicate with the board, right? So it's, again, I can't imagine why they would, but I think that covers all the bases.
So do you need a motion?
No, it's not a vote. He just wanted to see if we were okay with it, like to take our temperature,
Uh-huh.
and to make sure it was all right. It was all right with us. I think it's okay to, you know what I mean? There's not a thing. It's not a, we are not right now changing protocol. We're just gonna write a letter and say, yes, 4 members of the planning board met and we're all in agreement that a DEC determination is enough for the zoning officer to move in one direction or the other. If they so choose, again, it's always great to have editors. So as that stands, and since we did, obviously, I'm trying to say that this has nothing to do with a certain application or building permit application. It did come from a application that is in progress, but right now they are waiting for a determination from the DEC. So the zoning officer hasn't decided if it needs to come before the board yet or not. So they'll wait, but it's not, it's more in general, like it's definitely a general protocol. So we don't have any applications in front of us except to have the Crescent Way application finalized. And they are moving forward with figuring out some of the details that they had to sort out that we all knew about, and they're all within their time frame. And so there's no movement there. There's no news. Except I think we mentioned this last one. They're not planning to build, I don't believe, until 2021 for obvious
That's what Tom said, yeah.
reasons. So given that, and then I guess we have old business. Do we have any old business?
The bridge?
Oh, the bridge. I sent Michelle's email update. Did you guys get that? It was just a picture on how it's moving forward. And then we also got some review from Ben, sent us something about where the CPZR is. So let me just open up. She sent some pictures, and you were all able to get them.
Hmm.
Yeah. The pictures showed 2 options for the span.
Yeah.
And the one that's, if we have any influence on it, I hope we can move toward the one that is more graceful, the one that's not like a box.
Is that the last one?
It's,
Yes. Is that an angle?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And I noticed that, so when Rick and I went to that town meeting, they were showing how they could add this false rock facade to the outside that looks like little Minecraft pebbles. I mean, I'm glad to not see that.
yes.
See that here. So I guess, and again, I can't remember now. This is awful of me. I didn't prep well, I suppose. What the progress of this bridge is, if they're still on track. I'm sure things are slowed down. But okay, so that's that. Any other old business?
It's actually pretty cool,
It is.
bridge.
I'm really excited. I don't know if anyone has walked that creek, but we walk it a lot, and it's pretty nice for fly fishing, or to watch someone fly fish, which is what I do. So I think it definitely speaks to our comprehensive commitment to walkability and village beauty and all of that. Michelle, actually, I'm sorry, I jumped right over. You had some questions earlier about, what if something is a wetland, and is that an automatic no? And I just wanted to acknowledge that it isn't just automatically a no, but it then could be site plan review.
Okay.
And then there's different things, like how much of the soil are they going to disturb in the actual wetland designated area? And what kind of a building project is it? And luckily we have all these really good checklists that say these are all the things you have to look for. And once upon a time, a couple of years ago, we could probably all rattle those off from the tip of our tongue, having reviewed it for Camp Street. But it's part of a seeker review. Goes really into detail about that. And then there's some preliminary questions in the site plan.
Okay.
So just to add that part in.
Got it. Okay, thanks. That's helpful.
And it's fun. I mean, that's to me, right? That's the fascinating part, like the
Right.
details and the equations. And okay, so then the other new business is, if no one has any other old business, is like, do we, if we don't have an application in front of us, do we want to meet in July and August if there isn't any business? Are we okay sort of saying, for the summer, I'm sort of I'm a routine kind of gal, so I'm inclined to say, let's just check in once a month, so that we get in the practice and we're here and we're not missing each other. Because again, we aren't really running into each other on the street to talk about something someone saw or a new idea, and let's bring the team together. But it's summer and people go to the lake if they can't go visit their families. And I just wanted to take a temperature of the group and see how they were feeling about July and August if we don't have any business.
I'm good either way.
Yeah, same.
Okay, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm easy with that. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
so, and I'll try to, I guess, Tammy, things could come up. I mean, if something comes up very last minute, but if it wouldn't be, I can't imagine something would come up less than a week before, because we would need to prep for it to have it at the meeting anyway. So I guess that's a pretty good target. And it's not, I think we'll shoot for that. And the next thing I wanted to ask was, is everyone okay with perhaps moving our meeting earlier than 7 now that people may, and I don't want to say no one, some of us are essential services. Thank you. Michelle, do you have a hero sign in front of your house, Nurse Michelle?
No.
Oh, let's give her one.
Please don't. I'm gonna always just make sure I don't work on the Thursday of our meetings, because I usually don't get home till like 7:30 anyway, or even 8 when I work. So
is that
so
okay?
yeah.
Like, is that manageable for you?
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's totally fine. So yeah, earlier is fine. 6 o'clock is fine with me. Whatever. I'm really flexible. So whatever.
What do you think, Hannah? What's your, you might have the most,
Yeah.
Earlier is actually
We should
better. That would
Defer to Hannah.
Oh, that would be, 6 would be awesome.
Okay, John, is
Yeah,
6
what's
good for you?
fine with me.
Okay. I found myself ready to just
be offline, and it was time to go back online. So I thought
Yeah.
I'd check in. Of course, we'll check with Rick. And if he says, oh no, I'm really stuck with, like, this is important to me at 7, then I think we could defer, but I bet he won't. Any other new business? Are you all wondering why we even had this meeting today?
I have a question. What's the situation with the village hall? For example, is Tom coming in to the village hall? Are you coming in, Tammy or Morgan?
Yes, so we open back up to the public on June 8th, I think. The office, excuse me, the office is open right now 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday. We are closed on Fridays. What we've been doing is we work 2 full days together, and then we work 2 half days, and then we work remotely from home. Vicky's been out for a little bit, but when she gets back, our rotation will change. Tom is in the office full-time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 8 to 4. So we are back to business as usual, although business is very different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it, of course, with masks and.
Oh,
business-
yeah. Face masks are required. We have, everything set out with hand sanitizers. When people bring us stuff in, like your tax bills, we ask that you leave them, and then we collect them out of the basket and we mail back receipts. So it's, it's stopping, but it's been it's been eerily quiet.
Yeah, and good point, and thank you all for doing that. Thank you also to Morgan, who photocopied that binder that we got. Do you remember when former zoning officer Matt Johnston made a binder of the site plan code, the code, and the comprehensive plan, and some general guidelines on public meetings? Remember that binder?
Yeah.
So I thought that, which was great. I still use that because it was
Yeah.
tabbed, right?
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've highlighted things.
Is that the binder?
It-
Yeah, I've already started reading it. Yeah, it's good. It's
But
really helpful.
It's really helpful. It has the seeker in there, like when you need to go to seeker. I can't remember what the cookbook is in there. And so I asked Morgan if she would photocopy that for Michelle, and she did. And I also asked if she would just keep one in the village office, because until the codes change, like if the zoning code changes, I think we could just insert that section. But any new planning board member, it was such a joy to be received, to receive that, like it for me.
Definitely.
So
That's a really good
Good.
idea.
Very good
so
idea.
we won't call it the Bible, but we can call it what can we call it that's not tome? Sorry,
No.
it's our,
The binder.
the binder.
The binder.
Have you received the binder? Yeah.
It's gonna have to come with a ceremony now.
Ooh, maybe we can do
There
it in
has
the
to be a
Masonic temple,
passing. Perfect.
or just the basement of the village hall.
That's pretty creepy.
Somebody tell me I'm still in front of the public, so I can stop.
You are,
Okay.
but we all find you very charming and entertaining, so it's okay.
So far. Let's see. Anyone else have any other just sort of maybe general questions before we wrap up? Things that they're on their mind. We have two amazing village workers in front of us. Any questions? Did we actually issue did we issue a DEI statement as a village? The town did. Have we done that?
DEI.
Oh, I'm sorry, diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. Did the town do that?
I believe that the village board is working on something.
And that's where you say, Jessica, show up at the village meetings and you'll know.
Jessica, see you on the 13th at 7.
Okay. Oh, you will actually. It's in my calendar. Ladies, do you have anything for us that would make it better for your lives in planning board land? Is it okay to go that extra step to email us documents? I just think that it's so much better than Zoom hell. I have Dropbox hell.
Yep. I guess I would say, so Morgan did send them a week or 2 ago and nobody responded. So if maybe
Oh.
people could respond, then it doesn't go into the hole, and then we at least know where we're at. But and I get it, guys, because we do the same thing. You look at something, you process it, and then you let it go. And so even if it's just got it and send it back, then we'll know that you've got them. And we did resend them today, but it just helps.
Absolutely. Good feedback.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Other than
I think
that,
I
it's
also-
great.
Great. I really appreciate it. I know it's an extra step for you all, but I really appreciate it.
We're good.
So then
Take
I
that
should
time.
say, if any of you in the course of the next month do want to have have something for an agenda item, please feel free to contact me. I don't want you in any way to think that I'm not that we aren't willing to meet. It wasn't that at all. So, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move
I
that we,
move to adjourn. Sorry. I'll second it. Or did you have to ask? I'm sorry.
I know, you can
No,
just
you-
second right away. It's great. Okay, all in favor of adjourning?
I
Great. All opposed? Not here. Great.
Good night,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Sleep so
You're
well.
welcome so much. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
See you soon.
Nice to see you.
Bye, Mark. See you Monday.
Bye.
see you on Main
Bye.
Street. We